Welcome to the School of Love. I'm the author of Men Need Love Too, a simple guide to making men magnetic so every woman is satisfied and fulfilled. I'm Marina, Lazaris, the expert in helping you keep the love, get the passion dialed up, and connecting you deeper than you've ever been before. Thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to have you.
Thank you, Marina, for having me. Pleasure, and it's an honor for me too.
I'd love for you to introduce yourself. How would you introduce yourself?
I call myself an observer. Why an observer? Because I observe the effect of the morphogenetic field. I work in family constellations, systemic therapy, and I call myself an observer because I observe the effect within the morphogenetic field. And with that, I seek to reunite what the great spirit, the morphogenetic field, tries to do constantly, what has been separated. So I work majorly in systemic therapy, psychotherapy from a systemic point of view, from your family of origin.
Beautifully put. So this energetic field, do you read the energy? Can you feel the energy? Is it something more spiritual as well, would you say?
I wouldn't call it, Marina, too spiritual. Many people put it like, extreme in, you need to have like gift, enchantment, Merlin and this and that. But at the end of the day, we are all connected within the morphogenetic field of existence. Quantum physical knowledge, as we are all part of that. So when we tap into what we call our inner knowing, we are able to perceive an inner guidance, what we would call from a spiritual point of view, a soul. I always say, Marina, I think you will find that interesting. There are 3 points of attention within an individual. So the thoughts are the language of the mind. The emotions are the language of the body. And then there is the inner knowing, which is the language of the soul, which everybody is speaking. So that means that when we are able to tap into what we call gut feeling, we are connected within this morphogenetic field of existence, and we are fully guided 24/7 with it.
I love that. So it's connecting yourself to your intuition, and you call that like a gut feeling as well, would you say? Is that where it resides in your body, would you say? In your gut or in your heart?
Yeah, I would say is within the gut, like within this area. Some people, Marina, perceive it through a phrase. For example, you feel a phrase within you that says, in constellation, quite a common phrase is, I die for you. Okay, those are quite extreme phrases that in family constellation are perceivable. And that means when a person is sacrificed for somebody else in the system. But some people perceive it, going back to your question, as an inner image. Like I perceive an image that tells me to go right. My mind tells me to go left, but this inner image tells me to go right. So this right inner image is my gut feeling in my gut area. Some other people perceive it perhaps as a feeling, you want to go right, but my mind tells me to go left, but for some reason my body wants to turn right. So that's another gut feeling. And then, as I said before, phrases. People perceive phrases.
It's very interesting, yeah, because you're talking around people's senses, and some people is more smell, some is more visceral, some is more like visions, but sometimes it's all together, isn't it? And I suppose in a way it's integrating all of that. Would you say?
Yeah, very, very, very correct. You put it very right. Consider, Marina, that we are so connected to the physical feeling, like smell, taste, this and that we forget to perceive within, because there is what we call the sixth sense. That's the differentiation with all the senses of the body. What you can touch, taste, feel, and this and that. But then there is an inner feeling that's the what we would call the third eye. You could potentially say the third eye. That is gut feeling, which is a bit different. When you start to perceive that gut feeling, you become aware of it, and then you're fully guided in your life, in your journey. You know that whatever you're going through, you need to stay silent and perhaps shut all of those physical symptoms, I would call it symptom feelings, and go inside, because there is an inner knowing that is constantly talking to you.
I love that. Yeah, to go within, to really to
Correct.
listen to
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's interesting with the visions because that's personal to me. I've had visions that have come true, but I've always
Yeah.
had this type of thing since I was young, and it's an interesting thing because sometimes you can see something happening and it's like being in a car crash and the car's still coming towards you and you know it's going to happen and it still hurts. You're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I saw that timeline. So it doesn't take away the pain necessarily being intuitive. It kind of, yeah, it's an interesting one.
Well, perhaps it doesn't take it away, but it might prevent it. Like it might prevent it. You have a
Yeah.
feeling that you shouldn't go that way. And then you have like,
Yes.
oh, no, guys, I don't want to go that way. I really don't want to go it. And then you go the other way. Perhaps if you would have gone that way, maybe it would have gone as you perceive, as you dreamt about. But actually, your inner knowing told you, no, Marina, you should go right, not going left.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one because I had a vision of who my ex-husband's with now. And
Yeah.
that was extremely clear. And I saw them
Yeah.
both together and she was my friend. And I saw it and I
Wow.
remember telling her, yeah. And I remember the look on her face and then how it all manifested. And I'm like, oh, wow, I saw that. And yeah, I mean, it's a bit different. I know the feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to brake now. And then like a car comes across. You're like, oh, right, that was right.
What you said, Marina, is actually really powerful. And if you'd allow me, I would add something to it.
Yeah.
And you spoke about your ex-husband. So when we engage in the sexual encounter, we are forever connected. Forever connected means that, we exchange code to one another intensively for obviously the period of time where we have a lot of sexual encounters. Although, even afterwards, perhaps when we broke up, we perceive if the other person is engaging with a third person, another woman. Why? Because we are connected. I always say in my group event, I say, guys, you don't want to have sex with somebody you don't want to be alike. And they always everybody's asking me what do you mean with that? Sexual encounter is the most profound connection between two souls. Once you encounter sexually with somebody, you are connected forever.
Do you think, I just want to interrupt you with this because it's like, do you think that it's when someone this is very graphic, comes inside of you though? Do you think that, or not, right? So if they don't and they wear a condom, is that still the same? So this is very graphic because it's something that I've thought of before, right? But because everything's energy. Yeah, I mean, it's direct. Yeah.
I love Marina. Obviously,
straight in.
So, obviously, if you wear a condom, there is a certain disconnection.
Barrier.
Although you are still engaged with that person on a sexual level, on exchanging codes, obviously the amount of codes you will exchange will be limited. But if you engage without the condom, if somebody comes within you, then you are connected forever. And you perceive that person if they go with somebody else. Why? Because they are connected to you on a soul level. And I always say that. And women, they're like, oh, I say, absolutely. Of course you perceive him when he's going with somebody else because he's connected to you and he perceives you too. Yeah.
It's interesting because for me, it was like, you live and you die and it's all happening at once, right? So you can tap into a timeline depending on your vibrational energy, which can shift. And I mean, this was before he was with her, but obviously there was some energy being exchanged with them at the time I was with him, right? For me to get that intuitive hit. And yeah, so whether or not I tapped into a future timeline or that was already happening, who knows? But it's interesting. And yeah, it's very interesting, as you said, when you're connected like that, because I even get messages for his family sometimes, and that's more recent. And it's amazing because you're talking around the family thing today, right? So it was on Saturday. I had a dream about his dad and about his lungs. And I was like, is he okay? And that's sadness, that's grief, isn't it? And I was thinking about his family system and about his mum, because his mum divorced his dad and his trauma that he never processed and how that's obviously affected him, right? And the pattern. and obviously just send that love, right? But it's interesting how, as you said, it comes up on both sides, and you can dig deeper into this because this is your area of expertise. But, you know, even in my family trauma system of looking at it from generations, like immigrational trauma and all these things, I can see the patterns of the people that have come in my life and almost feel the spirit and feel the conversation. Like if my nan was Irish and I can feel her saying like, you need to sort out these men in a way so they respect women because of what she went through. She committed suicide when my mom was 6. And then I met a few Irish men, and it was like the same. And I felt her energy, and I felt her having a conversation with me around this. So powerful. And everyone's a gift. Like everyone that comes into your reality is a gift, which helps you transcend. We need relationships to do this, right? To transcend. We need this work, and we need this conscious awareness that it's not about just finding that perfect person. Oh, I've manifested the perfect man. Yeah, the perfect person in your consciousness at that point in time, maybe, but we're always evolving and growing, and it depends on your life purpose, your soul purpose, and what you're meant to transcend, to serve. So that might not be that person at that time, and that's not failure, right?
Marina, it's funny you say that. I just wrote a post yesterday on my Instagram about that. We are constantly, Marina, meet representatives, actors within our system of belonging. Why? Because this morphogenetic field of existence constantly tries to reunite that which has been separated. So we constantly find actors within our life experience where we relate with, that they represent somebody in our system of belonging. And not only that somebody, they represent the same scenarios that we try to reunite, something that in the past has been separated, those 2 points of attention of love, that they've been separated. And we find representative, literally actors, that they manifest our great-grandfather, grandfather, great-grandmother. And what is to evolve? To evolve means to reunite, to return to one. So we meet somebody that perhaps is what we would say in bracket, an horrible person, Marina, that make us suffer so much because we need to reunite something in the system. And even if that somebody is the wrong one for us in our mind, but in our heart and our soul is the perfect one. And guess what? When we find somebody else who has those traits that we were missing from this person, we don't care about that somebody else. We're still attracted to that somebody who was so wrong for us, who made us suffer so much, because that somebody is an actor who's representing somebody in our system of belonging. So that is the right one for us in our soul.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, that the soul contract. So before I came into this life, I made a soul contract in a way that I needed to learn these lessons and, you know, betrayal, abandonment, and how to move through that to serve others through this, right? So I totally get that energy alignment. And you talk around it, not the quantum field. What field do you call it?
Morphogenetic field.
Morphogenetic field, right? So we really simplify that. What is that?
It is a grid of memory.
Okay.
This is what quantum physical knowledge has. We live in a field of memories, in a loop of memory. If you take away your hair, your eyes, your bones, your skin, you remain what? Energy.
Yes.
So 99.9% of us, we are energy from a quantum point of view. So this energy is circulating itself within a loop of memory. So we live inside this loop of memory, and with our life experience, Marina, we upgrade those memories daily.
Yeah.
So you and I now, we are upgrading this field by exchanging energy between us, and on and on and on. And this is why you meet somebody perhaps who was born the same day as your great grandmother or your great grandfather, because you live in a loop of memory and you follow it and you constantly follow it and upgrading it and keep going infinitively.
And I love that. And I love that as well, like the genetic code within you. So
Yes,
your body has genetic code,
yes,
epigenetics, that kind of is programmed from previous generations. And them genes can get turned on or turned off depending on your environment. But also the code is there. So for example, my mum had an allergy. I get past the allergy, right? And so
beautifully
you can do
said.
work. Yeah, you can do work to get rid of that and clear them beliefs from your energetic field and upgrade them.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah. And so, but that you come in with that, right? So if you had your family had war trauma, which mine did, there's a lot of fight or flight. And in me, there's going to be a lot of, yeah, flight, adventure, because that was in my family, right? So it's good to be consciously aware of your family patterns, your family system, but so important for your relationships. If you're going to have a loving relationship, understand that whole family trauma and that whole family system and how it plays out so you can have compassion for one another and you both can enter into a conscious relationship of going, oh my gosh, something's playing out here. Like, let's step out of this. What's playing out? And have love and compassion rather than judgment.
Yeah, that's a refusal pattern. But let me reconnect to what you said at the start, which was
Yes.
very powerful. Epigenetics. So epigenetic acknowledged us that we do not only carry the memory from an energetic point of view, we actually carry the memory from a physical point of view in our
Yep.
bones, in our tissue, in our fascia. So we actually have those memories. And I always say in my events, Marina, you don't inherit the symptom, the illness, you inherit the conflict. What does it mean? It
Right.
means that perhaps your mother got, or your father got, it was made redundant in spring and there were pollen outside. So every spring, you face the same conflict as your grandfather or as your father because it's in your memory. And perhaps you manifest that allergy, that fear of being made redundant, that fear of being left without a household, that fear of being left without the capability to provide. And you manifest that symptom through allergy, for example. Why? Because the father is always represented in the lungs. So when you said before about
Wow.
your
Yeah.
partner issue in the
Yeah.
lungs, that's always, for example, asthma. Those are children distant from their father. Asthma is like a shock. I have nobody to protect me. I have no my father to value me and protect me. So they get scared. See this feeling, like you literally feel it when I try to simulate the symptom.
Right. But that might not be their actual father. That might be generational trauma that's coming up. That's so interesting
There you go.
because
There you go.
when you heal that family thing, you also heal your children, right? So it's future generations, it's your children's children,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
healing the past generations. But yeah, I so resonate because my little girl had asthma, but her dad was there when she was little, but it must have been the generation. So yeah, I love this. And I think it's amazing how when you work on yourself, it helps the field. So explain how that works.
100%, Marina. I also, I explain how it works, but also to say, the illness is not something against you; it's something in
No.
support. So, what does it mean? It means that you have a belonging. You belong to a system, and in that system, you have dealt with separation. You have dealt with that fear of not having a father through asthma. So, asthma is coming as a
Gift.
reparation process. So exactly. So it's a code that is running through the system. And of course, when it comes the same conflict, your body is ready to face that conflict. How? Just how they have faced it for thousands years, for 2000 years in the same symptom, asthma. So your body is ready. Your body is a perfect machine, capable to face whatever conflict you're going through. That's it.
Yeah. And so by by almost healing that, you heal the whole system. But there's obviously different ways you can heal it. But your way of healing it is through looking at the patterns in the family, right?
My way of healing it, my way of healing is to go to the root of it, Marina. So I'm not looking at the single individual, but I look at the individual as a fruit within a tree. So I look at the branches, I look at at the roots. So I look at the entire tree. So I cannot look at an individual, a child, just by itself as a single individual. I look at his parents, I look at his grandparents, I look at his great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents. So I look at an individual within the family system. Let me give you an example to make you understand very clear. When you take your partner, it's not just Marina taking her partner. It's Marina and her system of belonging. So Marina and her family, and her partner and his family. So when you get together as 2,000 individuals. 2,000 individuals and 2,000 conflict and issue and unresolved. So you do, by your life experience, you try to resolve together all of those conflict within your family system. So perhaps you get angry at your partner because you gave him an instruction, you ask him something and your partner doesn't follow it. But actually in your system of belonging, there is a woman that asking to a man to step up, and that man doesn't step up. So for you, it's just to bring in the garbage down to the garbage bin. But inside your family system, there is much more. That's why you perceive anger and frustration, because it comes from past generations.
Yeah, 100%. And even having the conscious awareness of that and working on that yourself heals that itself. But even more so when you're talking about the child element, your energetic field is entwined with your child until they're at least 7. Is that not right?
Oh, you are entwined with your child forever. Like your child obviously are an extension of you. If you're talking about the mother specifically, for example, Marina to her daughter or son, the most important period for you with your son and daughter are the first 9 years of life, 9 to 11 years. The first 9 to 11 years of life, the child is intertwined massively with the mother. That's why I'm big in saying mother should be paid to stay with their child, because it's a full-time job. And obviously, men are stepping up and becoming providers, and that's how it should be, because the mother role is so important. When you take a child away from a mother, it's not only you ruining the life of that child, you're ruining a society, because that's an interrupted movement between the child and his success, his abundance, his nurturing experience, money. So there is an intertwine between the mother and the nurturing experience. Major, Marina, major.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I read something around or watched something around the energy system, particularly of a child. And I know the subconscious conditioning, like, you're in theta, which is the hypnotic state until 7. But it makes complete sense. 9, sorry, did you say to 11 or 9 or both?
Yeah, look, what I've observed in my work is the first 9 to 11 years of life of a child, those are the most important one to be close to the mother. Nurturing experience, protection experience, emotional intelligence and abundance for the child. So the mother role is mandatory to the first 9 to 11 years. Any little separation from the mother in those years, they could cause minor to major consequences to the life of an individual.
Massive, really, really massive. And yeah, I mean, I think about going through my own divorce, and it's very much pushed now, 50-50 childcare. And many men go for it for financial reasons, because they don't have to pay. In the UK, you don't have to pay spousal maintenance. You have to pay child maintenance if you do that. But for me, going through that, I thought it was the right thing to have half a mum and half a dad, and to, have 2 role models. But I agree in the essence of being a mum and being a mother is a full-time job. And it's the hardest job you will ever do.
Yeah.
And you need a village. You need elders. You need support. You need nurture. When you have a baby, and I've got 2 girls, you almost need that motherly love. You need that nurture as well, especially if you're breastfeeding, and society isn't set up for that. And it is more set up these days to rip the baby from the mother, back to nursery, back to work. Now for the divorce element, which is so high, to the father, to not the mother. And I mean, I've had it by my ex-husband, almost like the pushing the mum out. And I think that's so sad to not honour that sacredness that somebody gives birth to a child, and that transformation. For me, it was one of the biggest spiritual. I gave birth at home with no medication, and that was, I had visions. I had one of the biggest spiritual things I've ever experienced in my life. And even to take that experience away from women, because they're not even really told that's more powerful than taking ayahuasca, to have a home birth with no medication, because you get the downloads, you get an extra layer of empathy and strength and power if you do it totally natural than you've ever had. So it's interesting how this whole family, and as you even said it, right, you were saying about you're marrying the family and you're marrying their family. And if you look at the Greek culture, because I'm half Greek and you're Italian, so you'll know. You're very much. So you're not marrying. You want to get married? No. You're marrying the family. It's not about you. Everyone in the village has to come, and it's
I love you saying that. No, I love you saying that, because a lot of those traditions, Marina, they are forgotten. I have been asked several times to be celebrant at the marriage, and many people they go through the celebration without actually knowing the meaning. For example, one of the most profound meaning in a celebration is the father of the spouse passing the spouse as a gift, because the woman is a gift to the world, and I'm going deep in that, going ahead, to the new family. So your father is passing you to the family of your partner as a gift. Why? Because you have the capability to create life again. That's why I always say the most successful life experience is motherhood, not by Tiziano, by Marina. It's just the expression of life biologically. Why? Because it's your capability to be the closest to God and pursue, create life forward. So your father is passing you, your father, because it's your father who brings you out of the door. Your mother stays within the household, and your father passes you as a gift, as a treasure to the new family. That's why there is this embodiment of you taking the new surname. There used to be, now way less. But the order of things is as such. So your father is passing you to the new family. And many people are so unaware of this concept, and they just, it works like that. Yeah, but there is a reason. And there is a profound reason. That's why you carry the surname of your father. And that's why you carry the surname of your husband. So your father is passing you to the new family. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? And that's the element of the father, the protector role, right? To protect your children, and especially daughters, to be like, this is the right person that's also going to look after and cherish and welcome and accept and love and nurture. Because if you have a baby and the in-laws are not nurturing and helping, and the other ones are not nurturing and helping, basically you're fucked. To put it bluntly.
That's pretty much. That's pretty much. But you know, the new family should.
But so this is why you have to really have that discernment around, okay, if the family are not very welcoming and loving to me, if you don't have like role models that can do that for you, then, you know that you're going to be very lonely in that, because not one person can be everything. Not one man can do it all. So it's being consciously aware of all these things that are actually important if you're going to create life, if you're going to have a family. And as you said, it's coming back to them.
It is, Marina, very important to understand that a daughter in the second sphere of influence, in the sphere of influence of her father, she experienced the first sexual attraction unconsciously towards her father. But what does that mean? It's her father who give her the value in which men are going to look at her. So what does it mean? It means that when she goes out of the door, if inside the household her father doesn't look at her, he doesn't acknowledge her, he doesn't give her emotional presence, she's going out and she will seek the same form of love that she experienced with her father. No emotional presence, no man look at me, no man they value me. So it is your father who give you the value to walk outside the door and obviously find a man who reflect the value that your father has given you. That's why, when you enter in the new family, it's your father imprinting that set you up for the new family. If your father look at you, we say, Marina, you value to me, you're beautiful, you value, and this and that. That's the message you're going to perceive in the man you seek in your life.
Unless you change that subconscious conditioning in other ways, but yes.
Yes. It is a subconscious conditioning, of course. Like, consciously, you might not perceive that, but if your father is emotionally unavailable, you perceive emotional unavailability as a form of love. Well, that's how my father look at me. So when you go out of the door, you find men who are emotionally unavailable. Why? Because that's your tank of love. That's your imprinting of love. My father loved me with emotional unavailability. That's the love I'm seeking outside the door.
And I love this, to add one step further, is like, yes, he made me work hard for love. So, and you see it with men as well. They're like, and people selling dating programs. It's like, get the unavailable woman. Great, you're going to end up divorced. But it's because they learned, their mum was like, no, you have to work hard for my love. And so these patterns of working hard for love are actually imprinted through film, right? That's the one you want to get. No, that's the divorce, normally.
Well, Marina, some of them are our strength. I always say in bracket, please take it in bracket. Some of your greatest success are a fuck you to somebody in your system of belonging. Let me explain what it means. My mom never gave me a compliment. Like, she loved me unconditionally, but she never told me, oh, you're so beautiful, you're so great, because she always told me, oh, you already think that of yourself. And if I tell you that, you pump your ego. So guess what? I always seek to impress my women with my achievement, with my abundance, with my success. Why? Because my mother never told me you're great. So I seek the same, you are great, from my women, from my partner. And that actually leads me to achieve a lot. Because every time, I achieve some big step in my life, I'm always doing that in service to my woman, to impress her, to have her eyes on me like, oh, you great. Because I never got that from my mom.
I think that's quite healthy in a way, because I think if you're really passionate about what you're doing, that's one way you can keep the attraction, right? So if you're really passionate and lit up about something you're doing outside of the relationship and not the person, you keep that attraction too. Because passion, I believe, comes from you, right? So lots of people look for it from someone else. But if you get really passionate about something and you're like, oh my gosh, then that's attractive. So it's a way to always, so again, that's a beautiful metaphor and example for men. And I can understand you seeing it as like a wounding, but I think that's No,
I actually very much agree with you. And I tell you how I agree. I would call it passion as desire. For example, Marina, I could meet a woman that she's mentally connected to me. Like, we speak great, we are on the same field, but guess what? I miss desire for her. Desire and passion is what in relationship separate a platonic relationship and a loving relationship. Yep. A platonic relationship is a relationship without sex, without the sexual encounter, without desire. But a loving relationship is a relationship that's actually passion and desire. So passion is what sparkles your soul. So in life, your purpose calls you desire, calls you passion, because that is something that is ingrained in your soul. Same as another person. A person, it might call you desire and passion because there is a connection to a soul level. Again, the connection is reunited, something that is separated. So bam, you have this sexual desire, this passion for this person, or the same for another life experience, your purpose, your job, your podcasting, such as this one.
Yeah, I love it. But then I get really passionate about like even doing this. I'm like, yeah, but some people don't, right? And you can meet them and they'll be like, and I've had this experience getting all that from you and you're sparking them. And then obviously 8 years, 9 years down the line, you know, that's harder to sustain. So it's very, I think, healthy to look for someone that has passions and that they do them passions outside of the relationship. They keep that sense of self and that they have these things that spark them because you keep being attracted to them.
Beautifully said. And you cannot place on your partner something that you didn't take from your family of origin. For example, I cannot look for passion in my partner because I substitute perhaps my father with my partner. But at the time, Marina, that I integrate my father, my partner become, in bracket, useless. So I lose attraction for my partner because he was only a substitute of my father. Because passion and desire and purpose look towards the father figure. So if you look for that in your partner, you substitute your partner with your father. But at the time that you integrate your father, your biological father within, then you send away your partner. This is what we call, Marina, teenager's love.
Yeah, which makes complete sense because, you've healed that part of yourself. And it's almost when you reclaimed the things that you're attracted to in someone else. Like if you can look at someone else and go, what am I attracted to? And write it down and be like, if I reclaimed all that, would I still be attracted to this person? I think you can get a more of a conscious picture of who you're going into a relationship with.
Beautifully
and the
said.
Reasons why.
yes. Teenagers love, Marina, are as such me and you and fuck everybody else. So it's like me and you and fuck everybody else. But when we integrate those everybody else who we fucked at the start, the relationship fade away. So when we integrate other people that we didn't have when we started the relationship fade away. Why? Because the relationship was founded in those missing elements, in those missing pieces. Once we integrate, we grow, we self-develop, we evolve, as you said, and we integrate those missing pieces. The reason for the relationship, boom, goes away. Ciao, ciao.
See you later. And I know that you're talking around the woman and the father, but of course it's the woman and the mother as well when it comes to the attraction. Both mother and father, you know, and how they treated you in them relationships are going to play out in your relationships when you meet people.
Well, your relationship look very much towards your mother. The love you experience in your relationship is the love of your mother. Why? Because your mother is the first person who you relate with. When you get out of the womb, your beautiful daughter, who was the first person who they look at? At you. So the love of Marina towards their daughter is the love they're going to experience in their relationship. That's why I always say, a person who keep the mother away to a heart level, like a person who push the mother away, is a person who push relationship away. No mother, no relationship, as Bert Hellinger taught us, German psychotherapist. So without the mother, no relationship. You push away your mother, you push away relationship. Consciously, unconsciously, it works all the time.
That makes complete sense because, that's because you said something around, you know, the person who leaves the relationship, and it was a post and I commented on it, doesn't deserve the children. And I was like, wow, it's an interesting one, that one, because it's co-created, right? So on what level? And I remember being in the relationship and being told, like, basically, I don't want to be with you all the time. And then that's consciously pushing someone away, isn't it? So there's only so many times you can hear, I don't want to be with you, until you turn around and go, as you put it, fuck you. Okay.
As you said,
but that, you know, I think it's really interesting how consciously and energetically you push and repel. And you do these things, and to be really consciously aware, even in arguments, to not do that, to not say like, I'm going to leave you, or to not say things you don't mean, because I think almost that's traumatic as well. It's like,
it is.
Yeah.
Let me specify also the phrase you said before, because I'm sure a lot of people go through divorce and stuff. This will be very helpful for everybody. When I say the person who leaves the relationship doesn't deserve custody, the reason is as such. The person who leaves the household is gonna get flooded with guilt. So if I'm gonna leave my husband without reason, and when I say without reason means that if my husband is not stepping up as a man, my husband is no longer the person who I love, and I decide to leave and I take the children are harmed. Why? Because my guilt is gonna get pursued by them, so they are flooded with guilt. So between the two parents, if my children are coming with me and I am the one that I left the relationship without obviously a reason where my partner was harming me. So for example, if my partner was violent, if my partner was alcoholic and it was difficult to be with because my life was at risk, then the children are better with me. Although if I'm leaving my partner because my partner doesn't step up, I don't love him anymore, and I take the children, I flood the children with guilt. And guess what? In the long run, the children will revenge. Because of course, they will take the side of the weaker one, and they potentially identify themselves with the father or with the person who stood in the household. Makes sense what I said, Marina?
Yeah. So it's interesting to stay in the household, because I'll bring my situation in.
Please. It's always useful. You're doing a service to everybody, not only to you.
Yeah. So within mine, it was like I was in a relationship where it was kind of that energetically, the passion had gone for a long time, and the arguments was, I'm going to leave you. And in the end, I was like, okay, that's, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to argue. Let's just do it. He left the household though. He moved out of the house, but I was still in the house. And then he was forcing me out the house. So in lockdown, I had every threat under the sun to get out the house. So it was like, I don't know who it is kind of, I don't know, when I look at it, it's so co-created between right and wrong. And it's just such a hard one, because I went with the 50-50 element. But in that situation, it was me that went, okay, this is it. I'm not doing this no more. And I could have continued on that with him in that if I wanted to, but I didn't. But then he left the house. He actually left the house and then made me leave the actual house and pushed me out, which is very traumatic. To be honest with you, all them things were so traumatic. I think it's taken me a long time to process and get over them things. And then the complete discard is like, no, look, you're no longer with me, so I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want to be friends with you. And then to be with people that I know, right? And even marry this friend. So it's been like such a process to go through. But at the same time, I think it is co-created energetically. So I think it's a really difficult one. When I look at my situation, I'm like, oh, because he was unhappy energetically, threatening to leave. And then that made me want to leave, because I'm a very energetic being. So if someone's saying that, then you're going to eventually go, okay. If somebody's,
if I may, Marina, give a few interpretation from systemic point of view. It seems like that he is the one that wanted to leave first. Yeah. So because he's the one leaving, he should give to you a little bit more. So if the father is leaving, he should leave the household to the mother and to the children. And that is harmonious, because he's not flooded with guilt. So he give you a little bit more, so he get rid of that guilt of leaving. And the children should stay with you. I would say a good 70-30, particularly because they're daughters, so they are flooded with the same sex energy. It comes to the point where he didn't take the decision, probably because he didn't step up as a man to take the decision. You took it for him.
Yeah.
So at the same time, he's a good 70-30. He's the one that he took the decision, okay? Like, he took it unconsciously without saying. He didn't step up as a man. Potentially might have some interrupted movement with his father, of course, but he's the one who left first. So he should give to you a little bit more. I deal with thousands of divorces because I went through a very traumatic one and violent. I find myself extremely confident into the divorce dynamic. And I always
You went
say,
through a
if you
divorce
leave,
personally. You went through a divorce, or
my
when you was
parents,
your
my
parents.
parents,
My parents too. Yeah, obviously
very
repeating.
violent and disastrous. So when the person leave the household, when the person who leaves, give to the other a little bit more. This is how it works better. My father left, so he left the household to me and my mom. Eventually, the dynamic became difficult and this and that, extreme violence, but it works better that way.
Yeah, it's really difficult because even with my situation, because I'm working now and I have to, go out there, and obviously I want to, right? I want to serve and do what I'm doing. But in my point of view, I'm like, well, he's the one with the income. He's the one with the stability. He's the one married my friend and was marrying in Australia, actually. They're getting married in Australia. Yeah.
Not a case.
Yeah. Coincidence.
Not a case. What's going on?
Round the corner. Yeah, this Christmas they're getting married. And she was my babysitter as well. So they've got like her and they've got a family. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, they maybe should be with him more than me. So it's such a hard, it's something you never ever want to be in, because in my head I'm like, they've got more stability and I need to go out there and really work, and I haven't got no masculinity right around me. So it's just, I think these things are one of the most hardest things. If you can work through something and not get a divorce, ideally, but it's just, if you deal with someone that you can't deal with, it's the most difficult thing you'll ever go through, ever.
In your specific case, Marina, I would look for you, if you would come to me as a client, to some interrupted movement with your mother. I would observe you from a mother standing point. This is how I would work on you, and this is what I perceive. This is also what I see. What you're saying, but you said something very important, which I feel all of our listeners will be happy to hear. Life plays you consequences in order to break a bond. What are consequences, Marina? Anger and guilt. That is why you perceive guilt. Guilt is a pressure feeling that tells you, hey, go back in line, go back into a rank, go back into that relationship, because life doesn't want you to break the bond, particularly if you have children. So of course you feel you don't want to get a divorce with your ex-partner, because there is that pressure feeling, inner pressure feeling called guilt. Guilt is asking you, hey, go back in line, mate, because this is the project of life and we don't want you to break it. This is the consequences that life places on you to maintain the bond, to maintain the relationship, the couple.
Yeah, I think, it's an interesting one. It's, again, going with your intuition, isn't it? And being, okay, what's being, as I'm talking around it, I'm definitely pro-marriage and pro-divorce. But as you said, it's all got healing, it's all got consequences, and the guilt element. And yeah, it's such an interesting thing. Energetically, I've definitely worked on, and suppressed anger I've worked on recently, actually. Yeah, it's an interesting thing how all of this is brought up for your soul's evolution, but never easy. And as you said, so if you're working with me, you'd be working on me with my mother. And interestingly, that's relationships very much, not complete, but very much more healed. So it's very interesting that you say that. And I even energetically send her love. Yeah, it's very interesting.
The reason why I said that, Marina, it's not about what you consciously might perceive, but your capability actually to receive from her. And I tell you why. When we become parentified means that I'm giving to my mother, I'm sending love to my mother, I'm giving love perhaps not as a daughter, but as a mother or a equal. That is something,
Yeah.
Marina, that we pursue in our relationship. So we are not capable to receive in full from our partner, but actually we parentify them. You become the mother of your partner. And in the
That
long
makes
run,
sense.
this is flooding
Got
your
that.
partner with guilt. And guess what? He
Mm.
will be the one living. You
Oh,
gave
yeah.
it more, but he will be the one living because you flooded him with guilt. And guilt
And
make him step away,
right.
make him drift away.
Makes complete sense. 100%. That was 100%. Yeah, because growing up, I was like the counselor to my parents, right? So my
There you
dad nearly
go.
died. My parents didn't work. I had all their trauma. I was
There
counseling
you
them,
go.
looking after them. And
There
then,
you
yeah, I definitely have done. I mean, that's what I fucking do for a job. But I definitely
They gave you the
still
tools.
got
Well,
the,
they gave you the tools. Yeah. Your life
they gave me the
experience gave
tools.
you the tools. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I've been doing this shit my whole life and a bit of acting to get through the trauma, of course. Growing up. But yeah, that makes sense because I can easily go into mother, like, oh, I'll cook for you. I'll do this. No, Marina, stop it. Yes. Yeah. I can
It's
see
not
how that
actually,
plays
Marina.
out. I can see how that plays out in relationships though, the whole mother and you being the partner, and how if somebody has unresolved issues with the mother, how that's projected onto you as well.
Oh, big time. They carry the unresolved in their system to you. And let me say something about something you said before. It's not about you not giving. It's your capability to receive. Because sometimes it's okay
Yeah.
to give 100 as long as you are open to receive from your partner 101. But if you give
Yeah.
100 and you're not open to receive from your partner a +1, so your partner is only capable to give you 30 rather than 100, you flooding him with guilt. He will never be equal to you. It will always be like mother-son relationship. So mother gives, children take. This is how it works. And the less you try to compensate that experience, and the better the relationship work. The more you are capable to take from your mother, and the better, the better.
Do you know what? That's really interesting. When I was in the relationship, there was an equal exchange of giving and receiving. And that's why it worked so well for 8 years. It's only when we had children that whole dynamic shifted. And then I was now a mother to the kids, and almost that wanting my time and like sharing the time. I think that's a very hard stage for a man as well to go through when he becomes a father, but then hasn't got that equal energy exchange maybe from the woman, and then goes into depression, right? So this is the whole not looking at these things before you have kids. In a way, you need to do this work.
Most of the time, Marina, when you have children and your partner is not ready for it, it means that he's still attached to his family of origin. So he's still attached to his mother. So he has one hand holding to you, but he still has one other hand holding to his mother. So he didn't fully let go of his femininity within. And that's why he's not fully present with you. And it's not a case that he experienced depression, because depression, it is systemically an interrupted movement with the mother in young ages. So he's attached to what is interrupted with his mother. And until he resolves that, he cannot leave that sphere of influence.
So how would they look at healing that?
Well, the relationship to look at is towards their mother. So if they come to do a constellation, immediately we would observe what is their relationship with their mother. Perhaps they have been left a child care when they were 6, and they still have within that abandonment wound. So every time they go with a woman, they perceive that abandonment wound. Why? Because it's within their feminine. So they need to cry out that sadness, the emotion that trapped them in that interrupted movement. Once they cry out that sadness, those ancient tears, they free. They are free to live. They're free to fully step into the new family.
It's interesting that you say crying out, but there can also be other elements of emotional release, right? So crying, anger, or is it just tears?
There are 3 level emotion. The first level emotion is sadness. This is when love cannot make it, when two individuals cannot make it, when love cannot reunite. The second level emotion is anger. Anger is positive. Anger allows you to step forward from that sadness. If the anger is too much, too intense, there is a third level emotion called pride. Pride takes different form. Judgment, resentment, hatred, and this and that. But those are the scale of emotion. In order for me to make a substantial shift into you, I need to go to the third level, second level, and reach the pinnacle point, the first level emotion, sadness. Sadness is released through tears, through let it go, set myself free. It's like a burden in your body that is leaving your body through your beautiful eyes, which are the window of the soul. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Because so often men are told not to cry, aren't they? And, crying.
That's the worst advice you could give to somebody. That's what I always say.
Isn't
and
it?
You're so right. Yeah.
Because that helps you then release and process. And as you said, move forwards from generational trauma. And
big time.
Yeah.
Spot on, Marina.
That's amazing. I love that because it's okay to cry and it releases hormones in your body and everything, doesn't it? And afterwards, then you get that momentum, to move forward.
It's an expression of your body. It's a release. Like your body is doing that on purpose. You can't stop a process of your body. It's like your body's wrong. No chances. Your body's always right. Doesn't make any mistake. Your body does only what is right.
I love that. And I think all emotions are beautiful. And
even big time.
Witnessing, isn't it? All emotion is beautiful. 100%. Like no emotion is wrong. It's all beautiful because it's just energy and motion, right?
Energy, emotion, that's it. Energy, emotion. You can't stop energy to flow. It's like you're trapping in your body. I always say to one of my close mates who has a very big account, he's a big healer in Australia. He's from London, by the way. And I always say to him, the tears you don't release, they make you sick. I always say to everybody, the tears you don't release, they make you sick. Why? Because it's energy trapped into your body. It's sadness unreleased.
I love this. It's so true. What a beautiful metaphor and what a lovely thing to come from a man's point of view. Because, you had quite an interesting life, haven't you? I mean, when we look at kind of like your background.
My background is crazy. It's one of the crazy. That's why I always say my life story will go on Netflix because I feel I have the imprinting for the Netflix movie.
Yeah, I love it because it's like Rocky, like the whole like Rocky type, a new version, like a spiritual version, right?
Yes.
Which we need these. This is the new heroes of the world, right? So tell us.
Without that experience, Marina, I could have not become who I am as today. I could have not gone through the understanding, the consciousness, the mental awareness of where I am today, the self-development. I'm very much, Marina, somebody who embody experience rather than actually reading experience. I read, I study, of course, but I like to embody. So I understand through embodiment. Yeah.
Embodiment's the most powerful thing.
There you go.
For me, anyway.
Oh, same.
You can talk about something until you're blue in the face and even strengthen the neuro pathway by going over and over something again and again. Or you can get a visceral experience. You can get in your body. You can move it through. You can act it out. And then obviously a little bit of, subconscious reconditioning and then boom. And then you've got different types of things. But so the body stuff, because you've got a boxing background.
Kickboxing background, kickboxing, Muay Thai. I was a professional. That's how I came here. I got a visa as a professional kickboxer, and I stood to that from 2013 until 2013, 2017, 18. I was still fighting and teaching as a personal trainer around here. I had a lot of rich and famous people. That was one of my dreams. Then in 2016, I had another big life crash and experience. One of my business went down, went in big debt, over €100,000. And that was another life awakening, and I got into family constellation, into understanding that I was carrying trauma and unresolved in my family system. So that changed all my life around. It was one of the most mystical, that day that I tried my first family constellation, Marina. And imagine at the time, I was not like, spiritually aware. I was just a normal person, like going day by day. And also what I've gone through the past, I was very much into my physicality. That day changed my life forever. I felt like it was a mystical experience. And it was nothing very woo-woo at the end, because it's a psychotherapeutic approach and it's done through words, through movement. So it's something that everybody can witness it. And that's why you see a lot of videos on my Instagram that I show people what that's about. But it was a life-changing experience. Yeah.
How old was you?
I am 36.
So when you done that and you first had that experience, how old was you?
I was 29. So it's 2016. We are 2024. Yeah, 29. I was 29. And yeah, that led me to just changing my life 360. In 2-3 years, I became slowly who I am today until 2019. And I left completely my kickboxing, Muay Thai, and combat sports career. And I became a full-time family constellator, systemic therapist, observer. And this is what I do, my biggest passion. I travel around the world with that. And it's just I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to it. I love it.
Do you protect your own energy? Is there anything you do to protect your own energy with this? Do you feel sometimes drained by other people, or is there any things that you do? I mean, obviously you're very good at creating a safe space. I can tell that, just from you hold this place of non-judgment and love. So that itself is very beautiful.
Yeah, look, Marina, I'm very strict and I have strong boundaries, very strong boundaries. Like I do a certain amount of sessions a day and that's it, no more. No, even if friends ask me to, can I come? No, there's a 3-month wait. Normally I have 2-3 month wait for a session. That's how it works. In the space, when I go into the space, same things, when I have my hour pause, clients, obviously there's many people in the room, 30, 50, they always come to talk to me. I say, no, now my time is off. I don't talk to anybody. When you ask me a question in front of everybody, it's a group therapy, so everybody can benefit from your question. I'm very strong, Marina, in my boundaries. That's how I protect my own energy. In order for me to serve you better, to serve other people better. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how you and how do you feel it all works in a group dynamic with all of this? Is it very intense because you've got people crying, being angry? I mean, I can imagine that you have to have a very big energetic presence to hold that space. And it's very intimate. I mean, for me, I'd work with people one-on-one and almost group retreats and things I've been on. And I will 100% host these around the world, group retreats. But you have to, again, be with the right individuals, hold the right space energetically. I mean, these things are all so very important. And if you're doing these exercises and people are crying and screaming and stuff like that, and is it you by yourself? Are you with someone else, or?
I always have one of my students who come with me, whatever workshop I do, they come with me as my assistant. Although, Marina, what I realized over the years, which you're going to be whoa, blowing out, is when you do a group therapy, everybody's becoming family for each other's in the way that they recreate their family of origin in the room. So I know we have 30 people and you're going to be like, Tizi, how 30 people can actually get intertwined to one another? But all those 30 people, those 30 individuals, they recreate their family of origin in the room. And I normally do a 16-hour workshop. It's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Soon will be 3 days. But anyway, 2 days. And in those 2 days, they literally recreate all the unresolved in their family of origin. And for me, Marina, it's like I'm I'm the director and I watch, I observe. I observe the dynamic that comes to
Wow.
surface: anger, guilt, rage, sadness, one that wants to leave the room, the other one that wants to be seen, the little girl that stamp her feet and say, hey, it's my turn, why you don't pick my name? I want to be, that's who they see
Yeah.
their mother in me. So it's just amazing. I'm blown away, Marina. Yeah.
Amazing. I think it's amazing you're doing this because I can see that you love it and you're really lit up by it and that you can just be with it and watch it almost like a movie play out, but in such a way. But you do it in a way with
I promise you. Yeah.
But it's like with non-judgment and with love.
No.
And
Absolutely.
there's very few people, I believe, that can hold that space. Very, very, very few. If I do my retreats around the world, which actually when I do, I won't do this. It would be more high vibrational, getting everyone's energy and vibration up. And, when I've gone to places that kind of are of healing, I always think that people go to do the work, right? So they're there and they've got something to fix, or they're coming with a problem, or they're unwell. Really what they need, my personal thing, is to get their vibrational energy up, to have more laughter, to have more fun, to have more joy, to have more connection, to have more love. And that's what I love doing in a group setting, in one-on-one.
That's medicine.
That's it. For me, that's medicine, because it's like, hey, you've got nothing to fix. You're perfect as you are. And even if we're doing yoga, let's laugh and like just be silly and get back to that childlike fun. And for me, that's that pureness and that joyness as a group is just what I want to create for healing. But this type of thing for me, I'll be like, is more, if I'd ever do this type of thing, I would be someone like you. 100%, because you can tell that it's coming from a very heart-centered place of love, and even as you speak in it, you're like lit up. Very rare. And there is very much what I found light and dark in this space. I mean, I've been in this industry a long time. I mean, I've been studying it since I was young, like as in school, but I'd done group coaching, which was amazing, experiential when I trained. That took me 2 years. That was amazing. But I've been to things and I've seen the light and the dark in this industry, and you have to have discernment. Just because somebody has qualifications or is in any field doesn't mean they're in their heart, doesn't mean they're doing this from a place of a heart-centered place. So
I agree with you 300%, Marina. I really agree with you. As I said prior that the most powerful medicine is embodiment. People are attracted to your energy. They're not attracted to your qualification, but they vibing at your frequency. So they are in alignment with your, they know you have something for them. So it doesn't matter what qualification you present, it matters where if you embody what they need. So if you have the medicine that they require to acquire from you, So this is where they feel, how I call it, the resonance. If you are in resonance with where they want to go.
The resonance frequency. Yeah, it makes sense. The resonance frequency. But yeah, that's being very in tune with you and learning discernment. And actually, I think that's probably the first online free workshop you could ever give anyone, is how do you become in tune with you and learn discernment? I'm 41 and it's taken me until now to get that. Wow. And I'm intuitive, but to really get discernment. And I think that's probably the biggest gift you could give anyone that ever starts in this space, is really trust yourself, have intuition, see these things. Do you feel that they're judging you? Is there that coming from them? They're looking confused when you speak, and you can feel it, right? Rather than they've got an open
100%.
heart and like everything's welcome. And so I always the protector in me wants to protect others with these types of things.
I always, Marina, acknowledge to everybody, in order to become a good observer, a good therapist, learn your senses. As I said at the start, 3 points of attention. Thoughts are the language of the mind. Emotional, the language of the body. Inner guidance is the language of the soul. So when somebody wants to study family constellation, I said, it's not very much what you can learn theoretically, but it's actually how can you be in tune with your clients. You perceive to a soul level your clients, where he wants to go. Because let's not forget, Marina, that 75% of our clients, they come to confirm their issues. Only 25% come to resolve it. 75% they want to come and confirm their issue, because their issue is well protected. They have a lot of layers. They tell you the sky is green, but actually what they want to tell you is the car is blue. So you got to understand when somebody's telling you the sky is green, but they actually want to tell you the car is blue. And I feel myself in my field at the pinnacle point in that. My power is actually to understand what the clients want to really tell me. Like, this is my highest gift. They tell me, I am thirsty, but I understand if they tell me my mother is thirsty. So I straight away see which point they tell me. When they come to me and sometimes they say, I want to stay away. One of my most common dynamic in events, when they tell me, I want to stay away from my mother. And I always tell them, do you want to die? Or something like that, like some shocking sentences. And they actually start to cry. And it makes sense to them and it makes sense to me, because your mother represents life. So people who want to stay away from her, they want to stay away from life. So inside themselves, they find no purpose in life. They want to die. They are not willing to live. So that's when my power comes to the surface. I state like a shocking sentence that awaken them. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So that's
wow. That's so powerful, isn't it?
It is. I know. That's why it's very shocking. Yeah, very shocking. And it's so shocking, Marina, that can change somebody. That's why I have that blunt to state it, that direct answer to state it and to change their life. Because I always say, I'm not here to be liked, but I'm here to serve you.
Yeah, and you need to be direct. It's almost that cut through the, you want to work with people that cut through the almost bullshit straight away and say it how it is. You don't want to be with someone, and it's very similar to how I am. I'd rather spend a whole day with someone than basically keep someone for a year. And I've been around some of the best coaches in the world, and some charge 200,000 and they keep them for a year. And it's like, well, if you can do the work quick, why would you keep them? And that's it. It's being straight, direct, and cutting through. You need that, because that's love. That is love, isn't it? In service. Otherwise, you don't want to be with someone for a few years, going through, just telling you what you want to hear, and then now we're going to do the work. It's like, okay, right, this is going to go on forever, and I'm just strengthening that kind of same belief and reinforcing it, and that serves no one. Very, very powerful. And you said something else. So there's two things I want to pick on here. So if somebody wants to stay away from their parents because they're abusive, then and they have that thing of wanting to die, how does that resolve?
They two separated experience, Marina. Let me discern them and make them clear. Stay away from your parents because they are abusive and toxic is not wrong. What is wrong is to do not accept them. So if I don't accept my parents as they are, I become just as them. Why? The order of love doesn't accept exclusion. But from the moment that I accept them, what you have given me was enough, even if that was just my life. And with that, I shall make something good. Then I'm able to step away from them and I'm able to do something different. So that is a good and honorable and healthy choice. So I can step the touch. People, they scold, they refuse their parents. They very much attach them. Why? Because they excluded them. So love bond them together because they exclude them.
And then they're scorning them. That makes sense. Yeah. And then the dying element is because, sorry, go on.
The dying element is your mother represents life. So
Yeah.
people who come coldish and they say, "Oh, I want to stay away from my mother," like in that
Yeah.
detachment way, like I
Yeah.
refuse her. They
Yeah.
refuse life itself. Why? Because your mother represents life. So most of the time, these people, they might add suicidal thoughts. They might tell to me,
Um,
I go a lot on bungee jumping and this and that. They have little, if no
wow.
attachment to life. Or they might say to me, I'm not afraid to die. I say, well, like, that's fine. You're not afraid to die. You are drawn towards death or you are not afraid to die. They really want to tell me something. Oh, I have no much meaning to stay alive. Even if the project of life look also towards your father. So people who have little attachment to life, like bungee jumpers, drug addict, alcohol, driving, speeding, and this and that, they are distant from their father. Generally speaking, is their father that represents the life existence, life experience. So
Oh,
they are
right.
not really attached to it, and they're happy to go and bungee jump and jump themselves out of the out of the bridge. Off the bridge. Yeah.
So to resolve this, they need to make peace and love. You know, so for example, their father didn't give them any attention or gifts. They need to have love and compassion for their father and their situation, their generational situation, and have, you know, come to like a resolution around it. So they're at peace with it.
Well, the resolution, Marina, comes when they release the interrupted movement. So there is
Like the
some
crying.
anger in between. And how do I do that online or in Constellation? Through phrases. There are certain phrases that they generate sadness. They bring up the surface the hidden emotion. So what do I do? How do I bring this sadness up? By allow them to state certain phrases. Obviously, in Constellation, we do that through movement sometimes, and in online, I do that through phrases. It's exactly the same things. But when I'm able to state that phrase and they are able to repeat, and sometimes they can't even, they choke themselves to repeat it because it's
Yeah.
blocked.
Truth.
But when they
Yeah.
do that, Marina, bam, they cry out that sadness, they release it, and happy day, they can
So,
finally step away forward.
and that's the intuition. Is it with intuition you find a trigger that just comes out and then they just
That is
like
very
a
right.
trigger.
It's
Yeah.
only intuitive. It's only fully guided within your body by this morphogenetic field of existence. Is you are guided into that. So
So it
you
comes through you because you're with
it
them.
comes
And I
through
get
me.
this stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Marina.
get this stuff because all of a sudden I feel like I feel like someone's grandparent or something. And
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Amazing. And there was another thing around the soul element I wanted just to talk to you about. So that the element of when the sexual attraction goes in a relationship is around the souls not being connected. Am I right? Like the souls being disconnected.
There are, Marina, different level of that. I wanna I touch base all of those just to give you a last understanding on this.
Yeah.
So the first one is
Yeah.
obviously when the soul finish, let's say their contract, their journey, they potentially
Yep.
vibrating at different frequency. So they no longer in resonance, and of course there's no longer attraction. Why? Because they have perhaps resolved or left unresolved what was to be resolved. So there's nothing for them to be connected. The second one, Marina, we are bonded by polarity. What does it mean? It
Yep.
means that if Marina spends time with her husband constantly, she's gonna get flooded a bit with masculinity, and her husband as well with a little bit of femininity. So they fade polarity. How do they recharge them? Marina needs to spend time with women, and her husband needs to spend time with men. So they recharge polarity, they go back together, and sex go as a bomb. How do you understand, Marina, where the soul, when the soul are connected, when the soul are on purpose? Through sexuality. Sexuality is the most vulnerable and profound bond between two souls. So sexuality, when sexuality is on top, means that the woman is in her feminine, is close to her mother, and the man is in his masculine, close to his father. I always say to couple, when the relationship is a bit wobbly, I always ask, how's the sex? Because from sex, I understand where they are at. In a long
100%.
run, Marina, sorry, just the third point, because I close up with that. In the third point, Marina, when, for example, you have a relationship daughter father, in the long run, when the daughter embody her father, her biological father, she loses attraction for the artificial father who is her partner. So that's why they step away. So you have embodied your original energy. So you were substituting your partner with your father, but as I said before, at the moment that you have embodied your father, the polarity with your partner fades away.
And so I believe, this is my thing, if you've got a passion and purpose together, you're going to keep that passion. And if they've got a passion and purpose also outside of, other things, just not with you, then you're going to keep that passion. That's my belief. So I think that always staying connected to them things and also having a joint vision, a joint passion, a joint purpose keeps the souls connected. That's a soul connection anyway. I think if you haven't got that and it's just material, you can only go so far. If your souls have got a joint, personally, I mean,
children, Marina, are already a joint purpose. Like when there is a family, when there are children. So the man is in service to the family. So how the relationship works best, the woman follow the man. Mm-hmm. But the man places himself in service to the family, to the woman. So to the project of life, the man devotes his life to the family, or to the woman, to his bride. And the woman, obviously, to the man, to compensate the fact that the woman follows him, he devotes his life to her. And of course, the man has one foot inside the house or with his family and one foot outside with whatever project and purpose he's pursuing. The woman in her femininity, she has the wisdom. She holds the wisdom. Yeah. So the man goes and rely to the woman. Why? Because in her femininity, she has the wisdom. She's close to God. So, of course, the woman is the pillar into the family. Like whatever man seeks an advice, a support for his life purpose, he goes to his woman, because his woman, she she possesses the wisdom, the stability, the firmness. This is what a woman in her full feminine, she's. I always say, Marina, a woman cannot work, but she shouldn't work on a clock. A woman is creative. She needs to have her own time to create her own expression. Yeah. The man is maniacal. He can go and work on a clock, like, for example, me, like I'm on point, like on the clock. But a woman is creative. So she needs her own time to work in her own creation, in her own beauty. Even when she does the laundry, she's creative. She's thinking, she generates thoughts and expression in her mind. She shouldn't work on a clock, because physically, biologically, she's not meant to. Not because I say it, because of your physicality, of your biological makeup. Okay, so it's different. Men and women are different.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100% like that. And sometimes I'm like, I wish I could get back to being more structured and disciplined, because I used to be better at it. But I think after having children, I'm definitely not. And I used to be in high performance sales, but I'm much more in that creativity of like in that flow. But I love it.
That's where your beauty is. That's where your beauty is, your individuality, your beauty is there. Talking on the clock, Marina, I have to end this beautiful conversation, because
it's been so lovely.
I'm about to start my daily routine in 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation. Is there anything you want to say to summarize it?
I just want to thank you to have given me the space to express, and also to have given me your beautiful presence as a host. Thank you for allowing me to express myself and my purpose, and to more collaboration, more chat. And if any of your listeners want to find me, it's my website, www.tizianosguerso.com. My Instagram is @Tiziano_Sguerso, and I'll definitely be in London 2025 for a big event, which you are already invited.
Oh, that'd be amazing. When is that?
2026. Next year.
Okay, that's amazing. I'm super excited. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'll be following what you do. Thank you for your beautiful energy. And have a beautiful day.
And you. Thank you, Marina. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Big hug your way. Ciao, ciao.